Hello, I'm Roger Bisbee from the Skill Builder channel. Happy Christmas if you're watching this before Christmas. And rather than bring you a load of seasons cheer and all the rest of it, I want to talk to you about something that is really concerning me, and that is tool thefts. Vans being broken into and people's tools being stolen. Now, this has been prompted by a video that Tool Carpenter put up the other day showing that his mate's van had been broken into and all his tools have been stolen, and talking about what a devastating impact that has had upon his friend, who he says is a very good guy. And of course, we had Oakwood Garden Rooms a couple of weeks ago. He had his van stolen. We put up a little video to try and alert people to the fact his van had been stolen. I don't think he had any success in getting it back, but this is happening all the time. We know this. Everybody knows somebody who's had their van broken into and their tools stolen, and it seems to go on year after year. And apart from sending sympathy to those people and going, yeah mate, I know how you feel, it's happened to me, we just carry on. And it made me think about this. It made me think, why is this still happening? This is completely unacceptable in today's world. We pay our taxes and we expect some kind of protection from the law. We expect to be able to go to work and earn our living without having our tools stolen. So we have to think about what's going on. Now, I've come to the conclusion that some of it is our fault. We're not doing enough to bring about change. If we glued ourselves to the M25 or we blocked up Westminster Bridge, we might get some kind of interest. Now, some years ago, PB Plummer put up a petition. He sent a petition to Parliament, and it did make them look at it. It did make them discuss it, and it made them respond. Unfortunately, not enough to bring about a debate in Parliament, but at least it did get that response from the Home Office. And here is the response from the Home Office.
The government takes these crimes very seriously. There are robust penalties in law to deal with theft, and we're supporting the police to explore what more can be done to tackle stolen goods markets. It is, however, for chief constables and police and crime commissioners as operational leaders and elected local representatives to decide how best to deploy resources to manage and respond to individual crimes and local crime priorities. To ensure the courts are made aware of the full impact these crimes can have on victims, individuals can provide a victim personal statement to set out the physical, emotional, psychological, financial or other impact a crime has on them. Similarly, businesses can provide an impact statement for business to set out impacts such as operational disruption, loss of custom and reputational damage.
So you can see that, on the face of it, they're trying to do things, they're trying to coordinate things, but I think that now is the time for us to really put the pressure on to bring about some change. So Skill Builder in 2022 is going to devote time and energy to pestering people, basically, to bring about change. We've got 400,000 subscribers, so we're in a good position to start influencing these things, but we're going to coordinate this with other people to bring about some kind of change and make sure that we can really give this a push in 2022, because enough is enough, quite frankly. Everybody in the industry knows that this is a crisis. A lot of people are suffering maybe their third tool theft, and they're thinking, how many times can I go through this agony, go through this expense, go through this disruption to my working life and restock my tools just to see them stolen again. So I've already said that I don't think we're putting enough pressure on people to bring about meaningful change. So the first thing I'd like to suggest that you do over the Christmas break, when you've got time, write to your MP. Send an email to your MP, and to make it very, very easy, we've actually produced a template below which you can just copy and paste, send off to your MP. And if you don't know who your MP is, we've also put a link to a list. So all you've got to do is put in your postcode or whatever, and that will tell you who is your local MP, give you the email address to write to them. So what I'd like to see is when they go back to work after the Christmas break, that when they open up their emails, they are inundated with emails from builders who are saying enough is enough. We need to bring about some meaningful change. We need to get this thing debated. We need somebody to bring a private members bill, and we need to get the police to do something about these crimes. The next thing you can do, write to your chief constable. The chief constable, again, that's one of those things you can look up on the internet. And again, I'd like to see the chief constables of all the counties in Cressida, Dickford, Metropolitan Police and anybody else inundated with emails saying, we're fed up with this crime. crime wave and all these tools being stolen, and we want you to prioritise this crime. We want you to put resources there. We want your guys to be out on the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning, stopping vans when they think they're going equipped to commit a crime, which is a crime in itself. If they are going around the streets with tools which look like they can break into the back of vans, then they can be arrested for that. So the police have got a lot of different things that they could be doing, and the only way that they're going to do this is for us to put some pressure on them. But the third thing we must do is we must mark up our tools. This is very, very important because, you know, I'm guilty of this. I don't mark my tools up. I go and buy a new tool and I don't spend 2 minutes in marking up. And that is all it takes. You can get an invisible pen, a watermark that you put onto your tools. You can put your postcode on there. You can put your name on there, your house number on there, so that if they are picked up by the police, at least they've got some way of proving where they came from. Because at the moment, if they pick up a van that's got a load of tools in the back and a kind of dodgy couple of characters in it, there's no way that the police can prove that those tools have been stolen unless they've got serial numbers from us or identifying marks on the tools. That guy can turn around and say to the police, you prove that they're not mine. And that is a legitimate defence. So we see that these tools are ending up in car boot sales. So the next thing we need to do, visit those car boot sales. We need to get the police to visit those car boot sales, and we need to ask those guys where those tools are coming from, because you see row after row of PAS loads all lined up, some of them almost brand new. Now, where did they get those from? They weren't being sold. Those guys don't go selling their PAS loads. You buy a PAS load, you keep it till it's useless, until it breaks down. These are working tools. They've got chop saws, drills, you name it, they've got it in huge roads. And we know that they're all stolen. The police know they're stolen. So what we need is we need to put pressure on this, because when I was a kid growing up in 1950s London, in the 60s and so on, it was a big deal to be receiving stolen goods. You could go to prison for it. Everybody knew, oh, that guy got done for receiving, that guy got done for handling stolen goods. It was considered as much a crime as stealing. And so if you are knowingly buying tools that have been stolen, or you can't prove where those tools came from, then that is something that the police should be prosecuting. It's still a crime, but it's gone way down the pecking order. Magistrates don't even consider it to be much of a deal anymore. And I think we need to elevate this handling stolen goods and bring it back up, because if we can get rid of that, if we can get rid of the market for these tools, if we can put pressure on the people selling these tools, then I think we're going to start choking it off. Because we've tried the van security. The van security is great, and I do urge you to secure your van, and in particular to put some kind of alarm in your load space, because that's the thing, that a lot of these guys are able to carry out these crimes at night without being heard, without being seen, simply because people don't have an effective alarm in their load space. Now, I know we get emails from people saying, chop their hands off, put a Rottweiler in there, put explosive devices. Quite frankly, although, you know, we all feel the frustration and we'd love to do that, it's silly. It's never going to happen. We can't go around harming these guys. We've got to do something sensible, and the sensible thing is to alarm your vehicle, get some good locks on it, and at least slow down the progress, make their life a little bit more difficult, because we know that there are certain vans, a transit van in particular, is very, very easy to break into, and they target these vans and they're in there within seconds. They take the tools out within minutes and they're gone on their merry way. We do something about securing our vans, we do something about marking up our tools, and we write to our MPs and we try and bring about some change. And the last thing I'm going to say is that we are going to put some pressure on people and try to bring about some kind of change. Skillbit, I'm going to spend a time contacting MPs, talking to people, talking to all the different interested parties in this, and trying to bring about some kind of change in 2022 which is meaningful. And the thing I'd really like to see is the onus being put on the people that are holding these stolen tools to prove where they came from, because at the moment that's not the case. If they steal your tools, you have to prove they're your tools, which is sometimes very difficult. I say made easier by the fact that you can mark them up, made easier by the fact you can engrave them. That's a very, very good thing to do. And anything else you can do to make those tools not very attractive to somebody selling them on will help. But of course, your tools will probably be stolen by the time you know that. But let's squeeze these people, choke off their lines and make this business very, very difficult for them. Because at the moment, there are no meaningful penalties for it. These people, we know that some of them are coming from abroad. They drift into the country, they spend a few weeks nicking a few tools and then they disappear back abroad. We have to look at that. We have to try and say, well, if these people have been in and they've been convicted of a crime, they're going to be deported and they won't be allowed back in the country. Because, well, I'm not being racist, I'm not trying to make a political point here, but it is a fact that a lot of these people are coming in from other countries because they see the UK as a soft touch. There's no real police enforcement there. There are no real penalties for committing the crime. So why wouldn't they come? It's easy money after all. Over the Christmas break, if you do these things, at least in the new year, you can say you've done your bit, you've tried your best. Skill Builder will carry on pushing to try and bring about some kind of change. We won't eliminate this crime, but at least if we can reduce it, at least if by the end of 2022 we've got 25% fewer people suffering from this crime, we will consider that we've achieved something at least. So have a nice Christmas. I'm Roger Bisbee and see you next year.